Charles Oliveira may be the most exciting fighter on the current UFC roster. Not only is he the most exciting fighter, with his win this weekend over Dariush, he has officially beat every single fighter in the top 5 of lightweight. I don't think people know how absurd that is, man. And not only has he beat them, he has finished them. He has finished Dustin Poirier, he has finished Justin Gaethje, he has finished Michael Chandler, and he has finished Beneil Dariush, man. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about what's next for Charles Oliveira. Of course, he lost last October to the current champion Islam Makhachev. I'm going to explain why I think people think he did a lot worse in that fight than he actually did. And if not Islam Makhachev, bro, we're going to go over some other options. I got two that I really want to talk about, man. I got an up and comer in Arman Tsarukyan, who is the most underrated fighter on the current UFC roster, and I have a possible rematch with Max Holloway, which I know is confusing, but we're going to talk about that. So Charles Oliveira, again, most entertaining fighter currently on the UFC roster, in my opinion, man. 20 plus finishes, always has exciting fights. And one of my favorite things anybody's ever said about Charles Oliveira is that most of the time when people get belts, they try to fight conservative, right? Like Israel Adesanya has been kind of not for this. Kamaru Usman a lot during the middle of his reign started to fight conservative. These dudes get the belt, they want to hold on to the belt because the belt means more money and more fame. Well, Oliveira wasn't like that. Oliveira went balls to the wall even in his title fights, man. So in my opinion, he's my favorite fighter, bro, and again, the most exciting fighter. But he has lost to the current champion Islam Makhachev. He's also beat all of the contenders behind him, and not only beat them but finished them. So number one, the biggest one and the one that makes the most sense is going to be a rematch with Islam Makhachev, man. So that one, of course, Dana even hinted at it this weekend. He said it seems like that'd be the next fight because it makes the most sense. One thing that a lot of people are overlooking, though, with Dana saying that is he said that Islam Makhachev is in medicals, which means he is medically not cleared to fight and may not be cleared to fight until October. Now, Oliveira clearly will wait past October to fight Islam Makhachev, but if he wants to get back in there, I have some other options for him. But let's talk about the Islam fight first. Islam Makhachev seemingly dominated Charles Oliveira last October, right? Like, got him out there in 2 rounds, arm triangle, called it a day. But I consistently say this, if you go and rewatch that fight, Oliveira did significantly better than majority of people think. People think he just got ran through by Islam Makhachev and he was done. In that first round of that fight, Oliveira pulled guard. It wasn't like Islam took him down. Oliveira pulled guard. He didn't get subbed in the first round. He was landing strikes off his back. And he didn't even let Islam advance position at any point during that first round. And he was able to get back up standing in that first round. Now, was he on bottom the entire round? Yes, I'm not going to argue that whatsoever. And in the second round, he comes out with a jumping kick and gets knocked down, bro. But I genuinely believe a lot of people think that Oliveira did significantly worse in that first round against Islam Makhachev than he actually did. Particularly when you factor in the fact that he pulled guard. It wasn't like Islam just went out there and took him down and then like just beat on him for the entire first round. And then even after he pulled guard, he was landing strikes off his backs. And Islam really wasn't able to get much offense off on him on the bottom of the ground, man. So I think that's still an interesting factor there to see with Oliveira in a better mind state, because everybody can clearly see Oliveira really didn't seem like himself during that fight. With him in a better mind state, that's a better fight. And with Islam coming off of the Volkanovski win, there seems to be some kinks inside of his armor. There's some flaws that a lot of people can expose on Islam that I think Charles would be great for, man. So me personally, I think that's the fight to make. I will be very excited for that fight, and it's not even just because the jiu-jitsu versus the sambo. I think it's more than that. You just have two dudes, and I said this in my Dariush and Islam video, who are just great at MMA. Like, Islam is more than just a sambo dude. He has amazing striking. He has really good Muay Thai clinches, and he's all around good. And in Oliveira, we know even last night when he beat Dariush, he was landing so many good strikes, man. Both of these dudes are just good at the sport of MMA. So stop the sambo versus BJJ talk, bro. These are two good MMA fighters. But if it is not Islam Makhachev, I have another lightweight that I would love to see Charles Oliveira fight that people just aren't trying to fight, and that's Arman Tsarukyan. Now, if you do not know who Arman Tsarukyan is, he at one point, I believe, was on like a 6-fight win streak. That win streak stopped when he lost to Mateusz Gamrot, which I still say to this day is the worst decision of last year. I don't know how he lost to Gamrot. He literally lost a round in that Gamrot fight where he knocked Gamrot down twice, man. It was like the worst decision. I can't even say that when it comes to MMA, but I love Arman Tsarukyan. He's literally this upcoming in a couple weeks fighting somebody who is unranked because nobody will fight him, bro. Like, it's literally gotten to that point to where he has to fight unranked dudes because the ranked dudes won't beat him. And it's not like he's just not beat any ranked dudes, man. He, again, lost to Gamrot. He beat Demir. He's beaten Thiago Moises, who I believe was ranked at the time when they fought. He's beaten Joel Alvarez, who was ranked at the time when they fought, or Jose, or it's Alvarez. I know it's one of those, man. So Arman is clearly being the most duck fighter on the roster. And one of the best things is he actually gave Islam Makhachev one of his toughest fights on like 4 days notice or something like that, man. So I would love to see Oliveira getting there with Arman. Arman keeps a high pace. He has great grappling, decent striking, man. And I think him in a fight between him and Oliveira would be cool. I know most people don't care about Arman's rookie run, so yeah, I'm gonna make a video talking about Arman and why I think he's so cool, bro. But the last dude I would not mind watching Charles Oliveira fight is somebody he actually fought before, and that'd be Max Blessed Holloway, man. And before you say, well, Max is a 45er, Oliveira is a 55er, they're both into similar positions in their career, right? Well, not career, but just in terms of where they're at right now. Both have lost to the current champion. Both of them are really trying to get back to getting title shots. And particularly for Max, he's in a tougher position because he's lost 3 times to Volkanovski, man. Now, whether or not you think he won the first or the second one, doesn't matter for this, but he has lost 3 times on paper to Volkanovski, man. And at 45, there's really not a lot of fights for him. Like, maybe you match him up with Ilia Topuria and you call that a day and say, okay, if Ilia beats Josh Emmett, it's Max versus Ilia Topuria, right? Or if Emmett beats Topuria, you get that fight versus Max Holloway. But I just think that it's in the same way that all of them do, where you don't have another contender for Volkanovski because Max beats them. So Max is also not talked about, but said he is willing to go up to 155 if the fight is right for him. And I believe that Oliveira is a really good fight for him. Oliveira is not one of those overpowered big 155ers, right? No, he's not small by any means, but he's not one of those juiced up 155ers where it's like, how does this dude make 155? Like, we can see how Oliveira makes 155 even though he struggled. They fought before. It ended in a like an injury stoppage. I think Oliveira tore something in his arm. And again, they're both at the point in their position where if you're Max, if you beat Charles Oliveira, you get a shot at the 155 title, bro, because Islam needs new challengers. You just beat the #1 contender who knocked everybody, well, yeah, who's essentially finished everybody behind him. And if you're Oliveira, that's a huge fight between you and Max Holloway, to where Oliveira has spoken about it, and I know he's not, but he's spoken about going back down to 145, bro, which, yeah, that's your chance. Like, I'm not going to say I want to see that because that weight cut would be horrible, but even then, if Volkanovski at any point captures the 155 title, you have Oliveira there who's beating Max Holloway, whose votes beats. And I just think it'd be an amazing fight that'd sell a lot of pay-per-views. Like, if you gave Oliveira versus Max Holloway a headlining title fight, a headlining fight on a pay-per-view, come on, who wouldn't miss that, man? So again, those are the 3 options, I believe. Now, the Islam one is probably going to 90% happen. I believe the Arman one is like 5%. And then the Max Holloway one is like 5%. But again, out of all of those, the one I would actually like to see the most is going to be Max Holloway, and that's just like the fanboy in me because I love both of them as fighters, man. But shout out to Oliveira, again, most exciting fighter on the roster, most entertaining fighter on the roster, and yeah, man, Oliveira. With that being said, appreciate you guys tuning into this video. Hopefully I didn't ramble through this too much. I do that a little bit in my videos, man. Appreciate y'all for watching. I'm out, man.